It's Tuesday, February 12th, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The International Monetary Fund is giving Barbados top marks for its ongoing efforts to turn around the economy. In a statement issued today, the Washington-based financial body said Barbados met all its targets for December 2018 under the extended fund facility. That 48-month deal negotiated back in September last year gave the country access to $290 million US. The report card comes on the heels of an IMF team headed by Bert Van Selm to Barbados last week and further talks with Prime Minister Mia Mottley in Washington yesterday. According to the IMF, government is on course to meet its 6% surplus target and reaching a deal with the island's external creditors. The IMF team says it will return to the island in May for another review of the country's economic program. A massive cleanup is set for this weekend to remove cow itch that has plagued the Blackman and Gollop Primary School at Staple Grove in Christchurch. Word of this from Environment and Beautification Minister Trevor Prescott, who vented his frustration at the reoccurring problem as he addressed the opening session of Parliament this morning. He said the work will be conducted by the National Conservation Commission, but made it clear that the landowner will have to pay any costs associated with the cleanup or face the law.
I want to give the residents and the general public of Barbados the assurance that workers will be in there over the weekend, and hopefully by Monday we'll be able to resolve some of the problems. But I am not going to spend the money, I'm not going to spend the government's money cleaning up the private property of wealthy men in this country. I'm not going to do that. So if the government is to spend any money on labor, any cleaning up of that estate, let it be mentioned to the owners of the estate that they will have to pay back every cent to the government if the government cleans up the property, and that will be done if the landowner don't take on his responsibility to do so. And if we do that work and the landowner do not compensate for doing that work, he will find himself in the civil courts of Barbados facing a civil charge.
The pesky Sargassum seaweed was also a major talking point in the House. Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Minister Kirk Humphrey warned that the problem is far from over and government is working on a comprehensive plan to address the issue. He stressed that there was no solution and said all Barbadians should get on board to tackle the situation. Humphrey especially appealed to hoteliers to lend more support to government's efforts to tackle the Sargassum invasion.
I feel, Madam Chair, that the hoteliers who've also, some of them have been investing in bringing on people to move the seaweed, that I would like to work closer with them, with the Ministry of Environment, of course, to get further resources to be able to move the seaweed off the beach, because it is a bigger problem for the hotels in many cases than it is for average Barbadians who live inland. But if they want the benefit of us trying to move the seaweed, then I believe that they also have to come to the table and put a little bit more resources into it as well, so that all of us as Barbadians can work together to remove this seaweed off the coast.
Humphrey, however, said that Barbadians must not see Sargassum as a problem, but explore using the weed in various ways. And he believes government should provide support to citizens who come up with innovative ways to use it.
And it requires that we therefore have to invest in Barbadians and Barbadian thinking and Barbadian innovation to be able to properly utilize the Sargassum seaweed. And that is why I was very pleased, Madam Chair, to see that there are young people who are now making soaps from the seaweed. There are young people and other people in Barbados who have taken to making methane gas that they have then used to either fuel their car or fuel houses from the Sargassum seaweed. There are people, Madam Chair, the Honourable Member also spoke to it, who are now using it and trying to experiment in ways to produce the food, but many people are producing fertilizer.
In other news, government is moving full speed ahead with its plans to purchase a fleet of electric buses by year end. Energy Minister Wilfred Abrams told reporters this morning government will put in place the necessary infrastructure for the buses. He maintains it's a positive move for the country, which is on a mission to become a green economy by 2030.
And there's some misconception that people have about electric vehicles. You don't need to charge an electric vehicle every hour, every 2 hours. When you charge that vehicle fully overnight, that vehicle is going to run for 2 days. So with the range on the electric buses, I think that the range that we were expecting was over 200 miles to charge. And you could drive around Barbados a couple of times and not hit 200 miles. The other thing is, we are speccing buses that can suit our terrain. So we may have to get one set of bus or a certain spec to run the coast route, like Highway 7 or the flat areas, and we may have to spec another set of buses to do the internal, the horse hill, right? But it points to what it is we're doing now. Everything does not fit everything. And we have to be sensible of how we procure things. We also need to try out some stuff. We're not looking to buy 100 buses one time. As I understand it, the Minister Dugid is sourcing, I think in the initial stages, about 20 buses, and you will run those and see how that works.
In sports, England wrapped up a 232-run victory over the West Indies in the third and final test in St. Lucia, securing a consolation win after successive defeats. Chasing an improbable 485 runs for victory, the Windies were bowled out for 252 despite an unbeaten century from Royston Chase. The Windies, however, won the Test series. In more sports news, West Indies fast bowler Shannon Gabriel was today charged with a breach of conduct by the ICC after allegedly making a homophobic remark in an exchange with that's the England captain Joe Root during the third test. Stump microphones picked up an interaction on the third day in St. Lucia between Gabriel and Root, in which Root responded, quote, "Don't use it as an insult. There's nothing wrong with being gay," end quote. The ICC said Gabriel had been charged with a breach of its code of conduct in relation to the personal abuse of a player, umpire, or match referee. The ICC said the charge, which was laid by match umpires, will now be dealt with by match referee Jeff Crow. Root has refused to reveal what Gabriel said to him when asked by reporters.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
On the regional scene, the ruling Jamaica Labour Party is strongly defending the integrity of the Andrew Holness administration amid allegations of corruption. More in this report from TVJ News.
The opposition People's National Party is accusing the government of being the most corrupt in the country's history. This time, though, the leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, took to the airways in a paid political broadcast.
The millions of dollars stolen from UDC at Duns River Falls, the misuse of funds at the Ministry of Local Government, as well as at the Students' Loan Bureau, and so much more.
Hours before that, the Jamaica Labour Party held an area council meeting in the St. Andrew North Western constituency. While listing the accomplishments of his party, this admission from JLP Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie.
And on the international scene, Mexican drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has been found guilty on all 10 counts of his drug trafficking trial at a federal court in New York. 61-year-old Guzman was convicted on numerous counts, including the distribution of cocaine and heroin, illegal firearms possession, and money laundering. He is yet to be sentenced, but the verdict could mean life in jail. Guzman was arrested in January 2016 after escaping from a Mexican prison through a tunnel 5 months earlier. He was extradited to the U.S. in 2017.
In an 11-week trial, over 50 witnesses came forward, including some of Guzman's former associates, most of whom had pleaded guilty to U.S. drug charges, giving unprecedented insight into the cartel's inner workings, describing Guzman's penchant for murdering his enemies and his lavish lifestyle, seen in pictures of his diamond-encrusted gun. The witnesses, who included a one-time mistress, described how he built a sophisticated organization reminiscent of a multinational corporation, with fleets of planes and boats, detailed accounting ledgers, and an encrypted electronic communication system run through secret computer servers in Canada.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3